Veterans Health Week is drawing to a close. Joining me to discuss veterans' health and well-being, but also some troubling issues about the attrition of combat experience and especially close combat skills in the Army, is former Special Air Service Regiment veteran Harry Morfitt, who needs no introduction. Now, I could devote the whole show just telling you what Harry has already done in a very full life. He served in numerous theatres and was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan. After leaving the Army in 2019, he qualified as a psychologist and continues to serve this nation through supporting other veterans. He's written a terrific book called 11 Bats, which weaves a wonderful narrative between a number of collection cricket bats and his service on operations. I commend it to you. It's really worth a read. And if you wonder why they're called special, he's also a pretty decent muso as well, fronting a band called The Externals, comprising former Special Forces soldiers. Lockdown and border closures have somewhat disrupted their Rock for Remembrance tour, which was to culminate on November 11, but the album is coming out and the tour is still proceeding. Harry joins me now from Melbourne. Harry Morfitt, welcome back to the McGregor Angle. Great to speak.
It is, Catherine. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Harry, before we go with the mental health piece, which is important, I just want to address that very impressive piece you submitted to Inquirer, which raises some disturbing issues, some of which I was unaware of. I knew the Brereton process had led to a very large exodus from the Special Air Service Regiment, notably of operators who had not been accused of anything nor served with notices. Can you give me some indication what proportion of the regiment has left since the Brereton Report was tabled?
I think it would be fair to say that many dozens have left, and there's also a fatigue in some in the unit, but they, I would encourage and hope they stay on. The point, I guess, of the article was not so much to highlight something we already knew, but maybe just to bring a bit of a moderate voice to the conversation. There are some things that I think ADF could consider and even reconsider, because I don't think it's too late. There has been a bit of collateral damage in the investigation and everything that's ensued, but it's not too late. And I think now with the with a bit of hindsight and the clear light of day, if I can use that expression, there might be some room to reconsider some of the individuals who have taken leave or are taking time out or who are in the process of leaving.
Yes, it certainly did seem to be a very blunt instrument was used, and I've spoken to a number of individuals who were grilled, for want of a better word, by the IGADF and then got a clean bill of health, but it took a real toll on them and affected their motivation. But Harry, there was a couple of things in your piece that I found really alarming and surprising. And this is a broader Army issue, the diminution of close combat skills, live firing, substitution of WETS facilities and so on. Is this happening Army-wide? And also, what's become of the Land Battle School at Tully for jungle warfare skills? It seems you have identified a real loss of something that was core business for our Army.
Yeah, look, I think all of the schools do a brilliant job. It's not to say that our ADF capability is diminishing in any way. I just think there are some early signs or weak signals that we could listen to, whether they be the senior folk in those schools, some of whom I've talked to, and they have concerns over the level of resilience and soldiering and resourcing, in particular for the human, as you point out, those skills that are very human skills. And it can be quite, hard to reason that the amount of money that we spend on hardware and boats and planes, which we absolutely need, and the resource crunch at some of the training schools, And to go with that, I'll make the point and highlight that through SAS, we're losing a lot of that capability that exists, that tacit knowledge that's very hard to train for and very hard to teach with using technology. There are some human-to-human interactions that will never be, or are at least a long, long way from being used or replaced by technology.
Yeah. And that, Peter Cosgrove, for whom I was a direct report, used to say the Navy and Air Force man equipment and Army equips men, and I think that's a point. The human factor needs to be remembered. Harry, you had to deal with your own demons of survivor guilt, and you've been frank about that in public. There are a lot of veterans that I understand are really hurting at the moment, and this Royal Commission, again, you correctly pointed out, I don't think is a panacea or a cure-all. What are some of the things that are in your learnings and lived experience after being through what you've been through that you'd share with veterans watching tonight about staying alive, basically, and finding purpose?
Yeah, I think get a plan. And, in a year where we've had so much going on, September 11 came and went, withdrawal of Afghanistan, which was ugly. It was probably never going to be anything but, no matter how we approached it. The Royal Commission, the investigation that's been in the papers. So there's a lot to kind of, to impact the veterans community and many of the minds of the veterans. I would say to everyone, the way that I dealt with my low period, very low period after being wounded and taken out of the battlefield and had survivor guilt and a bit of shame for leaving the fight, I guess, as I built a plan. I got together with psychologists, with physiotherapists, and with the strength and conditioning staff at the regiment, and built a plan and just had the discipline, I like to think, to get up and do that every day. So, my message at the moment to some of my veteran mates is, get off the couch, get down the gym, build a plan and get about it. And we've got a great summer ahead of us coming out of COVID. I think it's positive after such a big year and a big period, not only for the veterans, but including for the veterans. There's a real opportunity here for all of us to reset. And as I said, get a plan for those people. If you need help, please reach out. It starts with your first decision if you are struggling, and that is around reaching out. But be brilliant at the basics. Eat well, get back in the gym, get physical, and prioritise your sleep. I think always back to the triad.
They're all very fundamental underpinnings. Just a final word, Harry. Bring us up to date on Rock for Remembrance and how the externals are going. And what's COVID done to that, and what's Plan B?
Oh, COVID's tried its best, but it hasn't killed off our enthusiasm. So Rock for R&R, Reflection and Remembrance, is a small co-op or a co-op of collective of veteran musicians and artists, about 30 of us and growing fast. Our intent is to release an album on November 11, which will be a compilation album, and we'll tour next year. We've booked Darwin, we've booked Townsville. I encourage both ADF and veterans and their families to get on board. Tickets will go on sale soon. You will be blown away by some of the talent that is latent or exists in our current servers and our veterans, both music and graphic arts and a whole lot more. And I think I think there's no better way to see the end of a period we've just come out of. I think it's fair to say, with September 11 behind us, to remember and reflect and commemorate the service of the ADF and our veterans, and through arts and music brought to you by your veterans. I can't think of any other way. And we'll culminate with a big rock concert and some old externals get up and have a belt. And I'll just quickly add, some of our veterans, Anthony Field from the Wiggles, Normie Rowe, John Swanee Swan. These are people. They'll be there. So get on board. Rock on.